welcome to Late to School, an anime watchcast. I'm Lorena.
And I'm Zach.
And today we are going to be watching Spirited Away.
Yeah. Our first movie. Our first movie,
yeah. So this episode might be a little longer than usual. Who knows? Our episodes are already too long.
We'll figure it out.
Spirited Away was a 2001 film animated by Studio Ghibli.
Mm-hmm.
It was directed by Hayao Miyazaki and written by Hayao Miyazaki.
Mm-hmm.
It was produced by Toshio Suzuki, and it first arrived in theaters July 20th, 2001. It was distributed in Japan by Toho and in English by Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think it was by Pixar, but under Disney's orders.
Really?
The English dub was directed by Kirk Wise and produced by Donald W. Ernst.
Mm-hmm.
It was written by Cindy Davis Hewitt and Donald H. Hewitt. And because it's Disney, there are going to be a lot of familiar voices in this film.
Yes.
I'm sure you noticed.
I did.
Before we talk about the plot, I think we've both watched this film before.
We have. So, Spirited Away was actually my first Studio Ghibli movie that I ever watched.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that's the same for me.
I watched it when I was very young.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not my choice to watch it. I watched it at a friend's house. And I didn't really like it at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was weird and I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think I thought at that time that I just straight up did not like anime.
Right.
I don't know if I acquired that feeling from watching Spirited Away and disliking it, or...
So you were old enough to know that it was anime?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so, yes.
When I first saw this movie, I was like 8 to 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Let me paint a picture for you. My parents have invited some friends over for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
We eat dinner. They continue talking, and I return to my room as the child I am.
Right.
But I don't want to go to sleep, and I don't have to because my parents are busy entertaining guests.
Right.
So I turn my TV on to I forget the name of any of the channels we had in Italy, but it was an animation channel.
Okay.
And it was like their late night block. It was like the Italian equivalent of Toonami, basically. And they were showing Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool, a movie. I want to watch a movie. This looks cute. This looks, I don't think I had the conception that things would look cute, but I was like, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And so I watched Spirited Away and was confused and terrified, I think, is the emotions I felt. I went into this movie thinking I knew what Spirited Away was.
Yeah.
My thought was, as a child I was confused by this film and didn't understand anything that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I can remember those details as an adult now, and I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it. I do get it now that I've watched it again.
I'm not sure I do, but I guess over the course of this podcast we'll find that out.
Yeah. So...
It's a confusing flick.
It's a confusing flick. I think it's a lot more confusing when you're 8 years old.
Yes.
I guess we should just get into the plot?
Yeah. We've talked about we want to go through this... We don't want to go, as scene by scene as we usually do on this show.
But...
Because there's a lot more content, obviously, because it's a movie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, broad strokes it and then talk about the movie as a whole.
Yeah.
So the movie starts with I think it just opens right up on, the image of the bouquet.
Yeah.
It's a card on a bouquet that is addressed to Chihiro.
Yeah.
From your best friend, Rumi. And Chihiro is our main character.
Yeah. I don't want to correct you, because the film does this too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that name should be pronounced Chihiro.
Chihiro.
But everyone in the movie says Chihiro, so it's fine if you say Chihiro. I might also say Chihiro. But...
Okay. Because it's what we're used to now, because
we
watched the dub. But yeah, Chihiro is a 10-year-old girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she is in the car with her parents.
Yeah, they're going to their new home.
Yes. And Chihiro is sulking about not wanting to move.
Yeah, she doesn't want to move because her friends are at the other place.
Yeah. Rumi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And her parents are very dismissive about
it. We'll talk some more about her parents later, maybe. I think they're not great parents.
Yeah.
Chihiro, is voiced in Japanese by Rumi Hiragi, who...
That's an interesting coincidence.
Her only real roles, besides Chihiro, are Sachiko in Up on Poppy Hill, which is another Studio Ghibli movie, I believe. I haven't seen it. And the mom in Ponyo.
Oh, okay. That's neat.
Yeah. Her English voice actress is Davy Chase.
Yes.
Who is Lilo in Lilo and Stitch. I'm glad you recognized her.
I did, immediately.
She's also Samantha Darko, apparently, in Donnie Darko.
Okay.
I've never seen that movie. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, they're going to a new home, and Chihiro is not having it. Her dad...
She is... I do want to, again, not going scene by scene, but I do want to point out as, notable things pop up. I don't want to just do, very dry recap and then we talk about the themes and stuff. This girl's not got a seatbelt on.
No.
And she's just lounging across the back of this car.
Remember when Usagi and Shingo weren't wearing seatbelts?
Yeah.
Did Japanese cars not have seatbelts in the back?
Well, no, because there's a scene later where her mom tells her to put her seatbelt on.
Yeah, but that might have been for the dub.
Maybe.
I don't know. It would be very strange if Japanese cars didn't have seatbelts in the back, but we're 2 for 2 now.
Yeah, we are 2 for 2, I guess, yeah. We need to watch another anime with cars in it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's... All of the Wikipedia, summaries for this movie call her a spoiled 10-year-old, so...
Which is...
She's just sad about moving.
Yeah, she's just sad. She's understandably sad.
Yeah.
But her parents are like, oh, it's an adventure.
Yeah. Her dad decides to take a shortcut.
Yes.
And they end up in the woods.
Yes. They see their house from a distance, and they're like, oh, that's our house.
Yeah. The road we're on clearly will not take us there, but I'm a dad, so I'm gonna go anyway.
This is the dadliest dad.
And they drive down the path, the shortcut path, and end up at, a big gate.
Yes, they pass a bunch of, shrine... houses, shrines.
Yeah.
Chihiro mentions that they look like little houses, but they're for spirits, her mom explains.
Right.
And there's, a bunch of weird statues. And then, they get to this building.
They get out of the car. Mom is a little panicked. And they decide to go through the gate on foot. Her dad points out that the gate is fake. It's not made of real stone. It's just made of plaster. And they pass through the gate and end up in a big open field with a bunch of not ruined but definitely unkempt buildings.
And a lot of more of those statues, the round, creepy Two-Face statues.
And her dad points out that it's an amusement park. And
this is an abandoned amusement park. He explains they built a lot in the 90s, and then the economy crashed.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a real thing that happened in Japan, or if that was a thing they added for the dub. Or if it's just, even if it was in the Japanese, but is also nonsense there. And they decide to explore the park. And Chihiro is not
she is
it.
extremely creeped out by this. I think by this point, they already passed through, a very, a train station-like area.
Yes, I think so.
Which we see again later, and they hear a train.
Yeah.
And they pass by, a river.
Yeah.
A river that's all, blocked up.
Something
that was going to be a river.
Right. They were going to build an artificial river here, but didn't.
Yes.
I don't... We'll talk about that later. And they end up at a, sort of central, shopping district.
I would call it a marketplace.
A marketplace.
It feels very, I I'm sure there's places in modern Japan that look like this, but it feels very medieval Japan.
I mean, it feels like a night market to me.
Right.
Which is, I think, more of a Chinese thing than a Japanese thing, but it might also be a thing.
It's got very distinctive architecture that I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And they follow a smell.
Yeah, her dad starts sniffing the air.
He's like a fucking bloodhound.
And they come to a food stall that is still running.
Yes.
And there's fresh food out.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking mom and dad just start chowing down.
Yeah. And there's no one there. They call the check and they're like, we'll give them money after we're done.
And this is maybe
when they come back.
This is maybe the only time in a Ghibli movie where the food doesn't... I'm disgusted.
Really?
I'm disgusted by this food.
I think the food here does look pretty okay here.
It might be just how her dad eats that upsets me.
Maybe. Also possible.
He gulps down like a whole chicken in one slurp. And Chihiro is not having it.
Yeah.
Her mom and dad try to get her to come eat, but she's not having it.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of wanders away. She finds a bridge, and across the bridge is a big bathhouse.
Yes.
That is also running. We see the smokestack.
Yes.
And she starts to cross the bridge when she's stopped. Does she see something weird, or is she just stopped before she sees anything weird?
I think she sees...
Do the lights on the bathhouse go up, right? Is that the thing?
I think... Well, no, I think she sees the boy first.
Okay. She sees a boy with a bad haircut.
Yes.
And some, like, old-looking Japanese clothes, basically.
Mm-hmm. And he is, like, rushing out of the bathhouse. And... telling her.
He basically tells her that she shouldn't be here and that she should get across the bridge before nightfall and, like, drags her with him.
And then the lanterns start going up.
Right.
Start lighting up.
And he's basically like, I'll hold them off.
Uh-huh.
And she keeps running across the bridge. She starts running back to her parents, and we see these, like, shadowy figures start to appear around the park.
As, like, they are... staffing the
staffing
the
and partaking.
Yes,
I guess
patronizing.
Mm-hmm. And she finds her way back to the food stall, and she starts pulling on her parents, being like, "Hey, we gotta go." And her dad turns to her, and he's a pig now.
He's a pig. They're both pigs.
And she's scared. She doesn't believe that this could be her parents. And she runs away and starts screaming, asking where her parents are.
I think she tries to run back. She tries to, like, run back through.
Right.
Like, back through where they came through the field.
Right.
And she runs into water.
Yeah.
Because now there's a river here.
Yeah. Or, like, an ocean.
Yeah.
Like a lake.
Like a small sea.
And then the boy appears again. And tells her that she should not be in the open. And he takes her across the bridge to the bathhouse.
Yes.
He tells her to hold her breath, because if she breathes or makes a noise, the spirits of this world will see her.
Yes.
And know that she is a human.
And by this point now, the spirits are not all just shadowy beings.
Yeah,
this is our first.
There are a lot of, like, I guess they're probably yokai, but I don't recognize them.
Right. And they could be entirely original.
They could be entirely original.
But they're just a lot of weirdos. Just a weird birds, a bunch of bird boys.
Yeah.
And, like, a bunch of folks with masks.
Yeah, They do pass a tall, shadowy figure wearing a mask.
Yes.
Who will become relevant later.
Yeah.
And they get to the end of the bridge, and obviously they are stopped by someone. They're stopped by a little frogman. And Haku is trying to sort of get around this boy, this little frog boy who wants to know what's up. And Chihiro cannot keep her breath held anymore, and she breathes out, and the frog spots her, and they panic and run to hide.
Yeah.
And at this point, everyone's like, a human! Human! And they basically just go run and hide. And I think at this point he introduces himself as Haku.
Yes, I believe so.
And he is voiced by Miyu Irano in Japanese, who is the voice actor for Sora in the Kingdom Hearts series.
Really?
Yeah. He's also a bunch of, like, boys. in, like, romantic comedy anime.
Just a bunch of boys.
In English, he is voiced by Jason Marsden, who is Kovu in The Lion King 2.
Oh,
Max
yeah.
Goof.
Oh.
He's basically, if you've watched any American-produced animation ever in your life, you've probably heard this dude in something.
Uh-huh.
And he explains to her that they see, like, a bird flying around.
Yes.
And he says that is Yubaba, and she's looking for Chihiro.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells Chihiro, I keep alternating, to basically go to the boiler room and ask Komaji for work.
Mm-hmm.
And he explains that Komaji is a trickster and will, like, basically try to not give her work, but she needs to fucking stick to her guns.
Right.
And I think we hear, like, people in the bathhouse at this point, like, calling out, like, Master Haku, where are you?
Mm-hmm.
And Haku, like, runs off to go talk to people.
Yeah.
Tell them
Haku
it's okay.
he's distracting them again.
Uh-huh. And then Chihiro makes her way to the boiler room.
Yes. It's a very good sequence.
It's a very well-animated, good sequence. She falls down the stairs, and they're really long. But she arrives, and she sees the boiler master, I guess.
Yes.
Komaji.
Who is an old man.
I would describe him as a spider Dr. Eggman.
Yes. He's got, I believe, six arms. And 2 legs.
Presumably 2 legs.
I
don't remember if we see his legs later.
We see his legs.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's got Dr. Eggman's face. Mm-hmm. Yes. And he is using his arms to do a bunch of shit. Uh-huh. And we also see his little suit spirits.
Yeah.
These little, like, black, kind of spider-like almost. Mm-hmm. Like, little critters that are, like, carrying coal into the boiler.
And Chihiro starts trying to get his attention and ask him to give her a job. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of brushes her off and ignores her. Mm-hmm. So she starts wandering around the place, and there's a really good bit where one of the suit spirits drops a piece of coal and is, like, almost crushed by it.
Yeah.
And she picks the coal up. It's very heavy, apparently.
Yeah, it's
I guess
very
coal
dense.
would be. And the suit spirit is grateful, I guess. It like, reassembles itself. Mm-hmm. And she takes the coal to the boiler herself, because Komaji's like, well, you got it now, do it.
Yeah.
And she throws it in, and after finishing that, all of the other suit spirits take a beat and, like, stare at her, and then drop their coal on themselves. And it's very funny. But the main thing in this scene is that Komaji, also his voice actor,
because he's a pretty important character,
is it's Bunta Sugawara, who does not have a lot of roles. Most of the voice actors in this movie in Japanese don't have a lot of other roles, which is surprising to me. But he is apparently Aku in the Japanese dub for Samurai Jack.
Okay.
In English, he is voiced by David Ogden Stiers.
That sounds familiar.
Who is Cogsworth in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, okay.
Governor Ratcliffe in Pocahontas. And Jumba in Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
But yeah, a bathhouse worker arrives named Lynn. I don't think we learned her name now, but we may as well just say it now.
She might be human?
I think she's a frog.
She might be a frog.
Because there's a point where she says, that's frog work, talking about something she should be doing.
Well, no, she's saying that to get out of doing that.
Is she?
Yeah.
I thought she was saying it. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
She doesn't. It's weird. The frog situation is weird in this film. We'll talk about it. And she's like, oh, a human. And Komachi lies and says that Chihiro is his granddaughter.
Yes.
And tells Lynn to take her to Yubaba to get work. Which is weird to me. I was very confused at this point because Haku was like, hey, Yubaba's looking for you. You don't want her to find you.
Yeah, because she'll turn you into a pig.
Yeah, but I guess, go with the flow.
Yeah.
And Lynn is reticent, but agrees.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, Lynn is voiced by Yumi Takami in Japanese, who doesn't have a lot of roles, again. Mm-hmm. But she is Ishu Benikawa in something called Zammed.
Cool.
Don't know what that is, but it's her only other role, really, so...
Zammed.
In English, she is voiced by Susan Egan, who is Megara in Hercules, and Rose Quartz in Steven Universe.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And she leads Chihiro through the bathhouse.
Yes.
They go through a series of elevators.
Mm-hmm. We meet the radish spirit.
Yeah, they run into a radish spirit who's like just a big dude.
Just a big dude. With a radish mustache.
And at some point they have to split up. Lynn is distracting a frog.
Yes. With a dried newt.
With a dried newt that she eats.
Yes.
Which is why I think she might be a frog. I don't know. Also, her mouth gets very wide at points. I don't know.
That's
what's up.
Yeah.
And Chihiro and the radish spirit arrive at sort of a penthouse floor, I guess.
Yeah.
The radish spirit lets Chihiro off.
Mm-hmm. He is the only spirit so far that has been completely cool with her being a human.
Yeah, there's a point where Lynn is like, "Don't look at him," and eventually Chihiro does make eye contact with him, and nothing happens.
Yeah,
he's just like. But Chihiro makes her way to Yubaba's office, which is it basically just looks like a Japanese CEO office.
Does it?
Basically.
Okay.
At least an old style office.
Yubaba magics her through the doors.
Yeah.
The mini doors in a very visually appealing sequence.
Mm-hmm. And Chihiro comes face to face with Yubaba, who is hard to describe, I think.
Yes, she's an old lady.
She's an old lady.
She's like a caricature of an old lady.
Yeah.
She, in a way that is she is human looking, but not very obviously not human because of comparing her to the other humans we see.
Right. Her head is humongous.
Yes, her head is huge. Her eyes are huge.
Yeah.
She's very wrinkly.
Mm-hmm. She has a nose that makes me worry that she might be a little anti-Semitic.
That's fair. That's a thing
but
with which...
Her hairstyle is a very Japanese, a matron bun, essentially.
Yeah,
So I don't know what's going on with her. But
she's squat.
She does squat.
But she's also big. I was saying she is squat.
Oh,
she does squat.
Then Chihiro basically is, demanding work from her.
It's just Chihiro's like, "Hey, let me work." And she's like, "No." And she's like, "Hey, let me work." And she's like, "No." And she's like, "Hey, let me work." And she's like, "Okay."
There's a point where a baby starts crying in another room and Yubaba is panicking, trying to get it to stop.
A baby starts crying and we also see a very large baby foot break a door.
Yeah, And basically, Chihiro does not relent even while this baby is crying, and that's what kind of breaks Yubaba's will. Yubaba is voiced by Mari Natsuki in Japanese, who is Eva in Metal Gear Solid 4. And Suzanne Plachette in English, whose only other role, unfortunately, is Zira in The Lion King 2.
Huh. Okay.
And basically, Yubaba makes Chihiro sign a contract.
Yes. I notably, Yubaba here says, why did I have to make that spell, or I have to let anyone who wants to work? Just by asking. Which is weird considering she was continuously refusing to let her work.
Yeah. Chihiro signs her name, and Yubaba takes it.
Yes.
She takes most of the characters of Chihiro's name and says, "You're Sen now." Basically, she leaves the Chi character in her name, which can also be read as Sen.
Oh, okay. That's neat. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Also, they're not important, but there are these green little man heads around Yubaba's office that just kind of hop around and are weird. I guess they do kind of become relevant later, but they're just kind of funny.
They're just large man heads who just go oi a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And then
Yubaba calls up Haku to take Chihiro, who is now Sen, to her like servants' quarters.
Right.
And Haku is very mean.
Yes.
And Chihiro is very confused. And he like sort of drops her off and is like, go to sleep. And Chihiro meets back up with Lin, who's like, yeah, I'm glad you did it. And notably, Chihiro asks, are there two Hakus? Which is a very good line to me, because it's like, that's the kind of reaction a child would have to someone they know acting completely differently.
And also having, this is already supernatural and shit. Like, weirder things have already happened.
And Lin is, like, kind of not really paying attention. She's like, oh, Haku, that jerk? Don't worry about him.
He's Yubaba's assistant.
Yeah.
Apprentice,
I think. And Chihiro is, like, feeling sick, I think.
Yeah.
Because of all the shit that's happening, I guess. And Lin basically, like, starts worrying for her and sort of tucks her into bed.
Yeah.
And the next day, I guess... Oh, no. In the night, Haku comes to the quarters and tells Chihiro to meet him outside, basically.
Yeah.
After work.
Or I think before work.
Before work. And then it's morning, and Chihiro goes to meet Haku. And he gives her stuff that Yubaba took.
Yeah. Her clothes.
Which includes her clothes and her letter from her friend.
Yes. And that reminds Chihiro of her name.
Yeah.
Because
she had silently forgotten that her name wasn't Sen.
And Haku explains that that's how Yubaba controls people, by taking their names.
Yeah. And Haku basically, he takes her to visit the pig pen.
Yep.
And he's like, your parents are in here somewhere. And Chihiro...
He does point out which ones they are.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Okay. And Chihiro says that she wouldn't have recognized them, basically. And basically promises them that she'll turn them back to normal.
Right.
And is also sad that they're pigs now.
I think she cries here after a certain point. It is not explained whether or not all of the pigs in here are once humans.
Yeah. We do see some more pig transformation later, but it doesn't... We'll talk about it, I guess. Yeah. And Haku and Chihiro part ways. Haku turns into a dragon.
Yes, off-screen.
Off-screen.
But Chihiro looks back up into the air and is like, ah, shit. He's a dragon now.
And then she goes to work. And she starts... she and Lin are assigned to clean the dirtiest tub.
Yep, the big tub.
In the bathhouse. And I think
that's when Lin says, that's frog work.
Yeah, and I think that's because she doesn't want Chihiro doing it, but I could be wrong.
Maybe, yeah.
Also, for the record, there are a bunch of frogs.
Yeah, so most of the employees of the bathhouse
are frogs. They're of various sizes and various... Frogness. Most of the female frogs just look like kind of stout, chubby women.
Yeah.
Which is weird. And also why I think Lin might be a frog, but I don't know.
Because she looks a lot like them.
Right.
Except
she's tall and slender.
She's less frog-like.
Yeah.
Most of the male frogs are more froggy, but still have, like, human features.
Yeah.
And then, like, sometimes there's just one frog that's just a fucking frog in clothes.
Yeah, there's a little tiny frog boy. Or I guess he's an adult. Who knows?
Yeah.
Then Lin and Chihiro start working on the tub. It's very dirty. Chihiro is, like, getting soap and a sponge or something.
And sees outside a window that tall black figure with the white mask, and lets him in through the window.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, are you stuck outside? Do you want some help?"
And he comes in, and she runs off. And Lin basically is like, "Okay, we need some special water to clean this bath," and tells Chihiro to go get a requisition token or something.
Yeah, an herbal bath token.
Okay. And Chihiro is like, sure. and goes and does it. And the dude who is managing those doesn't want to give them to her. He's like handing off ones left and right to other workers, but will not give one to Chihiro.
I feel like that's possibly human racism.
It might be, yeah. And while that's happening, the figure with the mask appears, and he like Chihiro spots him, but the frog doesn't.
Yes.
And he then disappears, and while he's invisible, picks up one of the tokens and gives it to Chihiro. And she thanks him and runs off. And the frog guy is like, "Oh, hey, that's not for you." And then they use it. They like attach it to a string and pull it down, and fresh water comes out and fills the bath. And meanwhile, Yubaba realizes something is amiss. Something's coming. And we see, like, in the streets, this just mass of mud approaching the bathhouse.
A gelatinous creature.
And she realizes, oh, a stink spirit is coming. And there's a very good sequence where the stink spirit, like, breaks into the bathhouse. They kind of try to usher him in.
Or they try to usher him away. They're like, no, we're closed. Yeah. We're closed.
Yeah, right. But he does not care.
No. And also, all the people telling him we're closed just get knocked out by his stink as he's passing through.
And he makes his way to the bath that Chihiro and Lin just finished cleaning. And he kind of deposits himself in there. And
Yubaba makes Sen, or Chihiro, take him, basically, and bathe him.
There's a very good sequence where she's like, oh, wait, sorry. Before this, Lin sort of leaves Chihiro to finish cleaning the bath. And Chihiro...
Right,
Chihiro, the figure with the mask appears again.
Yes.
And has just a bunch of tokens. And he kind of, like, tries to give them to her.
Yes.
And he
making these... Yeah, That's all he does. He just goes,
And she's like, I don't want him.
Yeah.
That's not for me. I already got...
I don't need him.
And he looks upset. He looks like kind of...
He's crestfallen.
Crestfallen that she won't take them from him. And he disappears, dropping them. And that's important because when the stink spirit appears, she uses those...
Yeah, the stink spirit is so big that him plopping down into this big tub
basically floods the bathhouse.
Yes, and displaces a ton of water from the bath. So he needs more water.
And Chihiro like struggles to take one of those tokens to the pulley to get water. She eventually manages to and washes the stink spirit.
Yep, and she feels like a thing in it. The stink spirit actually like picks her up as it's getting doused in water. And she sort of investigates. And feels something stuck in it and thinks it's a thorn. We see it. It's not a thorn for sure.
No.
It's like a rod.
I thought it was a knife at first, but it's not.
And Yubaba hears this. A crowd is watching this man bath. And... she's like, a thorn. Now, hang on. Wait a minute. This isn't a stink spirit at all. And she gives Chihiro a rope. And makes her tie it around. Her
I
and
think Lin arrives again and helps Chihiro. And they tie it around the thing.
The thing that's like stuck in the stink spirit.
And they start pulling it out.
Yeah, everybody starts pulling it. Like a line of frogs is pulling.
And we see that it is a bike that has become stuck inside.
It was the handle of a bike.
And they keep pulling, and there's just more and more trash and garbage. And eventually they pull it all out. And
like water sprays out?
Water sprays out. And I forget how, but Chihiro ends up like inside where the water is. And she sees this like
decrepit I would say.
Almost skull of a man that thanks her. And she is like pushed back out. And the face emerges from the bath.
With a long serpentine body.
Yeah, and flies around the bathhouse and leaves.
And it was a river spirit.
Yeah, it was a river spirit.
Who I guess had gotten, like, polluted.
It gives Chihiro, like, this, like, orb.
Yes.
This orb.
It's not clear what it is. The summary I'm reading calls it a magic herbal cake.
Sure. It is edible.
Yes. It's some kind of dumpling or something.
Something like that. And everyone's like, hey, good job, Chihiro. And Sen, good job, Sen.
Right. The spirit also leaves behind a bunch of gold.
Right, yes. And everyone's like, oh, gold. Then, after that, everyone goes to sleep. I don't think anything really important happens with Chihiro at night.
No, nothing with Chihiro.
But we see the little frog boy. Who is like, I guess, doing the rounds, making sure everything's fine in the bathhouse.
I think it seems like he might be looking for leftover gold.
Oh, yes,
because he's looking
you're right. Yeah, he's checking for gold. And he sees the black masked spirit sort of perched on the bath. And it holds out gold for the little frog. And the frog
he creates gold as well. He, like, forms gold from his hands.
And the frog takes it and is immediately eaten.
Yep.
The creature has a mouth on its body that it just
beneath the mask
opens up and devours him whole.
And
then another frog comes. And another frog comes and is like, hey, what's up? And the spirit
just pours gold on him. And now is speaking with the frogs that he ate's voice.
Yeah, so both the spirit and that frog are voiced by the same person. They're voiced by... So in Japanese, they're voiced by Akio Nakamura, who has 0 other roles.
That's a shame.
In English, they're voiced by Bob Bergen, who is basically... I don't think he's the original voice actor, but he is basically the de facto Porky Pig now.
Oh, okay.
Also Tweety Bird.
Okay.
And he's Luke Skywalker in a bunch of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, he's also Lupin in some version of Castle of Cagliostro, but I don't know if it's the version we watched.
Okay.
Because there are 2 dubs of that movie.
Okay. But yeah, so another frog comes by.
And the spirit, who is now, like, sort of, like, talking with the voice of the frog he already ate, is like, hey, you wanna come get this gold from me? And we don't really see the resolution of that yet. We just cut to the morning.
Right. We should also point out, he is now frog-like in appearance as well.
Yes.
He's got big frog legs and longer arms.
And Chihiro wakes up, and everyone's gone, and she doesn't know, did she wake up too late, or what happened? She sort of wanders out onto the balcony, and she sees Haku flying through the sky.
Yes.
And at first she's like, oh, hey, Haku! And then she notices that he is being attacked by what she calls birds, but what we see later are, like, little paper... There's a word for them, I forget what it is, it's something gami, because... You know?
Yeah.
And she, like, ushers him into the bathhouse, trying to get him away from the birds that are attacking him.
He crashes the fuck in.
Crashes through the, like... Yeah, she closes the door, keeps most of the birds, or the paper things, from getting in, but a lot of them sort of just smack onto her face. There's blood everywhere.
Yes, Haku is bleeding profusely.
And she starts trying to, like, check on him. She closes the windows and gets most of the paper things out, but one of them does sort of stick to her back. That's important for later. And Haku is very not good. He's not in a good mood. He's really hurt. There's, again, blood everywhere. And he, like, then just flies away, just leaves.
Yeah. And I want to say, the animation on Haku in dragon form,
it's really good.
It's so good. I
also,
love
his design.
Yeah, you can tell he is injured by the way he flies. It's so good.
And Chihiro panics and starts, like, chasing after him, trying to find him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the bathhouse. Everyone is sort of in the, like, hallway above the baths themselves. Mm-hmm. And they've prepared a feast.
Yes.
And we see the spirit just partaking and throwing gold everywhere for everyone.
Everybody's super excited to get lots of gold. Mm-hmm. But then the spirit sees Chihiro.
Yeah, who is sort of like running through the halls looking for Haku. Mm-hmm. And he tries to give her gold.
Yeah.
He does his little
This is the point, like, he doesn't talk to her with the frog voice.
Yeah.
He seems to talk to everyone else with the frog's voice, and he doesn't talk that way to Chihiro.
Right. Chihiro... This scene is really good because she's just like... The animation on Chihiro and her voice acting is just like the most... She has better things to do. She has somewhere else to be. She's just like, no, I don't need the gold. I'm good. And she just leaves. Mm-hmm. And the spirit looks crestfallen again.
Yes, and then eats some more people.
Yeah, he drops the gold that he was trying to give to Chihiro, and some other frogs try to take it, and then he eats them, and everyone else freaks out.
Yeah,
and I think we see him start to like rampage. Mm-hmm. And Chihiro makes her way. She finds like a back way to Yubaba's penthouse, I think, and she ends up in this like room full of cushions.
Yes. Before this, she does. I think she overhears Yubaba.
Right. She overhears Yubaba, like...
I think she's talking on the phone.
Or something.
They do have phones, we know that. Yeah. We see a phone earlier. Uh-huh. But yeah, she's sort of explaining that the rich guy spirit that everybody's been pampering for the gold, because of all the gold he has, is a monster called a No-Face.
Yeah. No-Face is the only character in this film who has a different name in English than in Japanese.
Really?
Technically. His Japanese name is Kanashi, which just means faceless.
Okay.
But it's interesting that they went for because other characters have names that mean stuff, like Yubaba means bathhouse grandma. Kamaji means boiler grandfather.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think Lin means anything notable. But yeah.
Huh.
It's interesting that they would go for a more literal thing with No-Face.
Yeah.
But
it's also the best name.
Yeah. Chihiro hides from Yubaba, and Yubaba leaves the penthouse. And
right.
Chihiro...
It's also clear from what Yubaba is saying that Haku is in that room.
Right, yes.
But is about to die.
Yeah.
And Yubaba's like, eh?
Yeah. Chihiro tries to enter, but she hears Yubaba returning.
Yes.
And she dives into a pile of cushions.
Yes, in the big, we didn't describe the room, did we?
No.
The big padded room.
Yeah.
With, a pterodactyl hanging from the ceiling.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's just a bunch of, like, big toys. Mm-hmm. A lot of cushions.
Uh-huh. I forget why Yubaba leaves again, but she does. And Chihiro is like, oh, okay, I gotta go. Hmm. But she is grabbed by a big baby.
By the biggest of babies.
And the baby is mad at her, and it talks. And it is voiced...
Who's the baby voiced by?
So, in Japanese, it is he. Apparently his name is Bo. I don't know when this is established film.
I don't think it does in the film. I think they just call him the baby, or, you know. Yeah,
maybe in the Japanese version they say Bo.
Maybe.
He is voiced by Ryunosuke Kamiki in Japanese, who is, he's like a couple minor characters in other Ghibli movies. He is, I think, most notable as Kenji in Summer Wars, which is, I don't think, a movie you've seen.
I haven't even heard of
other people will know. In English, he's voiced by Tara Strong. Surprise! The only voice actor who ever plays babies. who's, Twilight Sparkle in My Little Pony, Timmy Turner, Bubbles in Fairly Odd Parents.
And Tommy in Rugrats.
Oh, right. Yes, you're right. I completely forgot. Also, just everywhere. Everywhere. One of the biggest voice actors in English. And the baby's just rude and is like, hey, you can't leave. You gotta play with me.
Threatens to break her arm if she doesn't stay and play with him. And also, like, it characterizes his relationship with Yubaba a little bit here by voicing the suspicion that Chihiro is a germ from outside.
Right.
And also doesn't want to let Chihiro go because if she goes outside, she'll get sick.
Right. And Chihiro is like, no, if you stay inside, you'll get sick. Eventually, Chihiro manages to get free by... Her hand is covered in blood from Haku, and she sort of just shoves it near the baby. And is like, hey, look, I got germs! And the baby panics and starts panicking.
And crying.
And crying and lets her go. And she rushes into the penthouse. She sees the heads about to fucking just throw Haku away.
Yeah, just into a pit.
Throw him into a pit.
Why do we even have that left?
I don't know. Then she stops them and starts trying to check on Haku. And he's not great.
No. And as that is happening, the little paper guy on her back from earlier sort of peels itself off of her and transforms into Yubaba.
Yeah.
Except not.
It's Zeniba, Yubaba's twin sister.
Yeah.
And she explains. She, starts casting spells and stuff.
Yeah, she so
Yubaba has a little bird.
Yes.
And Zeniba,
the bird we saw before.
I think so. We do see Yubaba fly, but I think...
Yes.
And Zeniba turns the little bird...
It is a bird with Yubaba's face.
Right. Zeniba turns it into a little hummingbird. And she basically explains that Haku stole her golden seal.
She also turns the baby into a mouse.
Right.
And then turns the heads into the baby.
And Chihiro...
She does this saying, what else could I mess with? So she's just a fucking trickster demon.
Zeniba, by the way, means money grandma.
Great. Good.
And Chihiro is like, Haku wouldn't steal anything. And Zeniba is like, well, he did.
Stole my gold charm.
And eventually Haku has had enough. And slashes the paper doll apart. And
which also cuts Zeniba in half.
She's like astral projecting, basically.
Yeah.
And she disappears. But by doing this, Haku begins falling.
Yes, and Chihiro...
Taking Chihiro with him. Also, the baby mouse and the little hummingbird. Those are our mascots now.
Yes, they are along for the ride.
And they fall. And they end up in the boiler room.
Yes. They were gonna fall into just a pit full of spirits.
Right.
But Haku flies them into a hole that I think leads to the boiler room.
Right. And Kamaji is like, hey, what the fuck's going on? And Chihiro starts trying, Haku is thrashing about, really in pain now.
I think he also, starts to just not thrash. He's collapsed and exhausted.
And Chihiro decides, hey... That thing I got from the river spirit.
Yeah.
That could heal him.
Yeah.
We see her taste it earlier, and it apparently tastes really bad. And she, cuts it in half and tries to give half to Haku. And
tries to, force it down his dragon throat.
Again, really well animated. She, pulls his mouth open.
Yeah.
Shoves her arm into his throat with the thing out. Quickly pulls it out. And, just clamps down and tries to hold him down and force him to swallow it.
It's like the opposite of every time my dog has tried to eat plastic.
Yeah,
Haku has a very dog-like mouth.
Yes. And eventually he does swallow it and he sort of calms down and passes out.
Well, but he also vomits.
Oh, right, he does vomit. He spits out a, like, black bile, essentially.
Yes, which coalesces into a slug wrapped around the gold seal.
Yeah. And Kamaji tells Chihiro that she has to hurry up and squish that slug. Which is interesting for... It's weird that he would tell her that. Anyway, she does. She, like, chases it around the boiler room and squishes it. And she figures, okay, this...
Well, then Haku turns back into his boy form.
Right, he does.
He's still knocked out, though. He's still not feeling great.
And Chihiro decides, okay, I need to take this seal back to Zeniba, so she'll forgive Haku.
And potentially cure him.
Yeah. She like, apparently she stored her stuff here with the little dust sprites.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, guys, I need my stuff. And they bring out her clothes.
And Kamaji tells her how to get to Zeniba.
Yeah.
Which is...
Take the train.
And he has some train tickets.
Yeah. I think Lin arrives at this point, and Kamaji's like, hey, you need to take her to the train. And I think Lin also explains to Chihiro, hey, that weird spirit's fucking everything up, and he keeps asking for you. And so Chihiro decides, okay, first I'll deal with Tim, then I'm going to get on the train. And she goes off to deal with No-Face. And we see the bathhouse. It is in complete disarray. Chihiro makes her way to, like, a room that they have apparently corralled No-Face into.
No-Face is now an SCP.
Yeah.
And this is the Foundation.
Yubaba emerges and is like, where the fuck have you been, Sen? And we hear, like, No-Face in the other room, like, I want to talk to Sen. Where's Sen at? And Chihiro enters, and No-Face is horrifying.
Yes, he is bigger. I feel like he's got more limbs than he had last time.
Yeah, probably from the other frogs he ate.
His mouth is big and awful.
Yeah.
He's got hair.
Yeah, he does have hair. I don't remember him having hair before this point. And Chihiro basically, like, tries to talk him down, but he is like, no, I gotta eat. Essentially.
And also still wants to give shit to
Right,
Sen.
Yes. And she decides, well, okay, my parents are gonna have to wait, because you're fucking everything up. And she gives the other half of the herbal cake to him. And he starts, like, getting sick.
Yes.
And, like, throwing up stuff he's eaten. And he gets mad at her and begins chasing her around the bathhouse.
Yes.
And she flees. And all the way, she, like, runs all the way to the, like, some sort, like, the outside of the bathhouse that is near the water.
Yes.
And all the way he is throwing up. Eventually he throws up all the frogs. One of them screams, "What an esophagus!" And she...
There's also a point where he's like, he's just getting tired.
Yeah.
And he just vomits a little, and then he's like, oh, excuse me.
And Lin is waiting for Chihiro in, like, a wash tub with a row, oar's the word.
A rowing oar.
And
a row stick.
Chihiro gets in, and they start rowing towards the train tracks.
Right.
The train is going over water now, basically.
Also, for the record, the baby in mouse form and the bird in little bird form are still with her.
And No-Face is, like, following them on a higher level. He's on, like, this pipe that's connecting the bathhouse to another part of the bathhouse.
And Lin's like, hey, that guy...
He's following us.
Yeah, and Chihiro's like, I think it's fine.
I think he's okay.
I think he's okay now. I think being in the bathhouse makes him crazy.
Yeah. And he, like, hops down into the water. And they eventually reach the tracks. Chihiro gets off, and Lin tells her to make her way to the train station. And they say goodbye. This is like the last major bit of Lin we see in the movie. Then she rows away. And on her way, she, like, passes by No-Face and is like, hey, if you hurt that kid, I'll fuck you up. And Chihiro arrives at the train station. The train passes by No-Face. and fucking he almost gets
hit
washed
by the
away.
Wave.
Which is a very popular gif. And the train stops. Chihiro gets on. There's like a shadowy man whose face we don't see, who she hands her tickets to.
And he like counts her and the mouse and the bird, and also points behind her to No Face.
And Chihiro's, yeah, he can come. And he takes the tickets. Chihiro gets on the train, sits down. No Face doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of like shadowy people on the train. Like they seem to be spirits, but they're more human shaped than most of the spirits we've seen in this form.
And Chihiro invites him to sit next to her and tells him to behave himself. Yeah. And we get this like extended sequence of the train sort of just going and passing by.
Yeah.
And people getting off and at other stops. And eventually they reach the swamp. I think before they arrive, actually, we see Haku awake in the boiler room.
Yes, we cut back and see that. Yep.
And he is asking, "Hey, where's Chihiro?" And Kamaji's like, "Oh, she left to turn that seal in
to save you."
Yeah, and apparently Haku had just completely fucking blacked out. And he decides to go talk to Yubaba. He's like acting a lot different. He feels less subservient at this point. And he like storms up to Yubaba's office and basically like demands for her to release Chihiro from her contract. And Yubaba agrees.
Well, kind of.
She agrees.
So Haku has to convince her by pointing out, "Hey, you know your baby?
Yeah,
you know your baby right here that's like right next to you?
Yeah, we see
something wrong?
We see the baby and it's just gorging itself. And there's like a beat. So they're counting the gold also in this scene. And there's a beat where after Haku says that, Yubaba stares at the gold for a long bit.
Haku says, something precious to you has been replaced.
Yeah. And she stares at the gold. And then she
seems satisfied that it is gold.
And then she looks over to the baby, and she like snaps her fingers or something, and its head turns back into one of the heads. And then it turns into all of the heads and collapses, and they try to run away. And
Yubaba is panicked.
She's very upset.
Because her baby's been stolen.
Yeah.
And Haku promises to recover her baby if she releases Chihiro from the contract.
Right.
And Yubaba says she'll do that on one condition, which is that Chihiro has to pass one more test before she can earn her freedom.
Right. And then we see Chihiro and her cadre arriving in the swamp. They find a path and go down it. There's a little...
They are guided by a hopping lantern.
Yeah, they're guided by a hopping lantern. And they find this little cottage.
Yeah.
And they knock on the door. And it opens. And they go inside, and Zeniba is here, and she's very nice.
Yeah, she's not acting how she was before.
Yeah.
She's very chill.
And she starts making tea for them, and Chihiro gives her the seal back. And Zeniba...
She explains the thing about the slug.
Right.
And Zeniba's like, "Oh no, the slug wasn't me.
Yeah, I didn't put the slug on that seal. The slug was Yubaba. That was controlling Haku." And she's like laughing that Chihiro accidentally freed Yubaba's slave, essentially. Chihiro explains to Zeniba that she feels like she remembers Haku from something. She says, like, "I've met Haku before, but I can't remember it." Because I think we forgot to mention earlier, Haku does tell Chihiro that he has known her since she was very small.
Right.
And Zeniba tells her that eventually it'll come to her.
Yeah.
And we get this, like, extended scene of the mouse and the bird helping Zeniba sew something. And I think No Face is also helping.
Yes. Zeniba compliments No Face on his ability to sew.
Yeah. And Chihiro is just sitting around like, "I can't remember anything."
And Zeniba's like, not well, not that fast.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it immediately. Zeniba also explains that Haku is already cured.
Right.
Because of Chihiro's love.
Yeah. Then there's a knock at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And Chihiro answers it. And Haku is here.
Yep.
He's in his dragon form.
Mm-hmm.
And Chihiro runs outside and hugs him.
We should point out that there's a rule that the train is just one way.
Right, yes.
So Chihiro had no idea how she was going to get
Chihiro
back.
said, I guess I'll just walk back.
Across the sea.
Yeah. It's shallow on the tracks.
That's true. But yeah, now she has a ride.
And she like says goodbye. At some point, Zeniba also tells Chihiro to call her Granny.
Yes.
And Chihiro says goodbye to Granny.
Mm-hmm.
Granny invites No Face to stay with her.
Yes. She No Face is her willing assistant.
Uh-huh.
And the baby mouse and
the little bird go with Chihiro.
Uh-huh.
And they all hop on Haku's back
mm-hmm.
and start flying towards the bathhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way, Chihiro is sort of like flashing back to a scene we actually saw a little earlier of like, it's a very brief flash. She's like in the water.
Right.
And Haku flies under her.
Mm-hmm.
Or we like see what looks like most of Haku's body. And she is like, hey, I remember. Mm-hmm. Haku, I dropped my shoe in the river. And I went to get it. And I almost got washed away, but you saved me. You're the Kohaku River.
Mm-hmm.
And Haku remembers his real name.
Yep.
Which is the Kohaku River.
Mm-hmm. He is like the stink spirit before. He is a river spirit.
Yeah. And his like dragon body falls away.
Mm-hmm.
And they begin falling
mm-hmm.
to the bathhouse. And they sort of like...
But they do fly. Eventually he starts being able to fly again, but right. Just in boy form.
They hold hands as they're falling.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bird just carries the baby mouse.
Uh-huh.
And they land in the bathhouse. And everyone is pleased to see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And Yubaba is not as much.
Yeah. She's like, hey, where's my baby?
Yeah.
But... so it turns out the baby and the bird could turn back at any time.
Yeah, the curse wore off.
Uh-huh.
Zeniba explains that the curse wore off, and they could turn back whenever.
Mm-hmm.
But when she says that, the mouse and the bird just sort of shake their heads.
Uh-huh. But I like to think the baby just didn't transform back because he didn't want to break Zeniba's shit.
Yeah.
Because he's so big and her house is so small.
Mm-hmm. But he does now.
Yes.
And Yubaba like runs over and hugs him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, now you gotta stop being mean to Sen.
Mm-hmm.
And Yubaba's like, well, but we made a deal. She's gotta do her test.
Mm-hmm.
And the baby's like, if you make Sen cry, I'll break your arms.
I think he says,
Does he
if
not
you
say
make
that?
Sen cry, I won't like you anymore.
Oh, that's better. That's funnier. And
she is heartbroken by that also.
And Cheer's like, no, it's fine. I can do the test.
Mm-hmm.
And she approaches. There's a pig pen.
Yep.
And Yubaba explains if she can pick her parents out of this lineup,
mm-hmm.
then she can go home.
Mm-hmm.
And Chihiro takes like a beat to look them over. And she says, wait, there must be something wrong. None of these are my parents. And Yubaba's like, is that your final answer?
Mm-hmm.
And Chihiro says, yeah. And all the pigs turn into little frogs, and they're
Yep.
like, you did it!
Uh-huh.
You figured it out! And Yubaba says, well, alright. Your parents woke up on the other side. Go find them.
Uh-huh.
And Chihiro waves goodbye to all the bathhouse people,
mm-hmm.
and Haku leads her through the amusement park back to where she first arrived.
Mm-hmm.
It's the flood has receded.
Mm-hmm. I think Haku explains that he's gonna try to make some changes around here because Yubaba can't control him anymore.
Mm-hmm. And he tells Chihiro to keep going and not to look back until she passes through the gate. And so Chihiro They like hug, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and Chihiro runs off, and she meets up with her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And her parents are like, "Where'd you go?" And she's like, Are you guys sure you're okay?" And they pass through the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Chihiro is like clinging to her mom and not looking back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit where she almost looks back, but is like, no. And they keep going, and they get to the other side of the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and the car is covered in leaves, and
Mm-hmm.
the inside is dusty.
Mm-hmm. Which the parents are very confused about.
Yeah, and they get in the car, turn it on, and Chihiro, like, looks back. Oh, wait, shit, we didn't mention the thing Zeniba gave her. Zeniba sewed her a little hair tie.
Oh, that's right. Zeniba, yeah, the thing they were sewing was a hair tie.
It's a purple glittery hair tie
Mm-hmm.
that Zeniba gives to Chihiro.
It's magic because it was made by her friends.
Yeah, and Chihiro is still wearing that,
Mm-hmm.
and
it kind of glitters and like kind of makes like glittery noises.
Yeah. And she looks back, and her mom calls her and it's like, Chihiro, what are you taking so long for? And Chihiro gets in the car,
Mm-hmm.
and they leave. And
her dad at this point says it can be kind of scary to move to a new place, and Chihiro says, "I think I can handle it."
Mm-hmm. And the movie ends.
Yeah.
And we get the end credits song.
Yes.
Which, so all of the like background music I forgot to mention earlier
Mm-hmm.
was written by Joe Hisaishi.
Okay.
And this end credits song was it's called "Always with Me," written and performed by Yumi Kimura, with lyrics by Waka Kokaku.
Okay.
It's very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the movie.
That's Spirited Away. So, what do we want to talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Yes,
I think.
it is. So it is a weird movie.
It's a weird movie. I'll say again, I understand it a lot more as an adult than I did as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, it is not. I feel like it probably has more like traditional story structure than a lot of Ghibli movies.
Probably, it's definitely more structured than like Totoro.
Yes.
Which basically has no conflict at all.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of conflict.
Kiki's Delivery Service also is very slice of life.
Yeah.
Episodic. It doesn't have like a main overarching conflict.
Right.
This has some fucking literal passing a threshold hero's journey shit in it.
Yeah.
But it's still also got a lot of disparate moving parts.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to talk about, I feel like.
It is. Let's start with the characters.
Okay.
What do you think of Chihiro?
I like Chihiro a lot.
Yeah.
It feels like her arc is interesting because there isn't much of one, it feels like.
Well, she definitely like grows and becomes more mature.
She becomes more I think she becomes more confident.
Yeah.
But like the thing that gets me is like she did not like in a traditional kind of story like this. Like I'm thinking like Alice in Wonderland or something like this because like there's definitely similarities between this and Alice in Wonderland.
Sure.
I don't know if those are intentional, but
Alice in Wonderland is very popular in Japan, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But
right. But in stories like that, a lot of the times it's the kid does something to wind up in this situation, and it's maybe a be careful what you wish for kind of thing. Wizard of Oz also is similar to this. But in this, Chihiro is essentially caught up in this because of the actions of her parents.
Yeah.
And by no will of her own.
Right.
In fact, she continuously wants to tries to persuade her parents to stop going down this creepy abandoned amusement park. So that's really interesting to me that there's no sin that Chihiro commits that she has to learn to overcome.
Right.
Like it's literally just her dealing with a situation that is not her fault.
Right, yeah.
So she does grow, obviously. She becomes braver and more confident. But, throughout the whole thing, she's not, overly adventure-seeking. She's not reckless.
Right.
And she's also not she's kind throughout the entire thing. Like I think that like I noted like her kindness seems like a lot of her defining feature.
Yeah. Like she like inviting No Face in.
Yes.
When he's just standing out in the cold, essentially.
And trying her best to help the stink spirit.
Yeah.
And just like unconditionally caring about Haku.
Mm-hmm. Which the movie does a lot to be like, oh, she's in love with him.
They say love. It's the power of her love.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's trying to say she's in love with him, like romantically. Not. I feel like it's her compassion.
Yeah. That's the interpretation I like more. I don't particularly think there's a compelling love story between Chihiro and Haku, but
a lot of characters don't like. There's so many characters that they all get kind of an arc, but not like a ton of an arc.
Well, the movie isn't about them really. It's about Chihiro.
Yeah,
and, like it is about it's a coming of age story. It's about learning responsibility.
Mm-hmm. But that's just the thing. Like Chihiro is always right. And I don't think I don't mean that in a bad way necessarily. It's just like there's no lacks in Chihiro that we are like that the movie exhibits that her learning things in this weird world fill in.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean,
she's just always kind, and she's always
she becomes less. Well, I mean, she becomes more willing to move. I guess.
Yes, that's the main thing, right? Like it's like braver. She becomes braver.
Yeah. A note that is maybe worth discussing is apparently Miyazaki has stated that Chihiro does not remember what happened in the spirit world, which isn't really made clear in the movie. It's kind of just a word of God thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's interesting to me if she forgets.
Yeah, because her parents I would even say the movie indicates.
Well, the dub does.
Oh, that was a dub thing.
Yeah,
okay.
She doesn't say anything at the end in the Japanese version.
Okay.
I kind of like that more. I kind of like her remembering her adventure, and
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything even interesting to say about.
I guess
that.
not.
I just think if she does or doesn't even really impact the movie that much.
Not much.
Unless there's going to be a Spirited Away 2. But I have
it's been 18 years, so probably not.
Yeah, I feel like nah. Wouldn't surprise me if they made a fucking live action.
God, don't
remake.
even. Don't even.
I don't want to put that energy out in the world.
Oh, you already did.
Sorry.
They're gonna do it.
But yeah. Chihiro's parents also. We wanted to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So
they kind of suck.
Yeah. I think I kind of want to there's sort of a broad thing I want to talk about the movie as a whole that Chihiro's parents tie into, which is that am I too much of a Marxist, or is this movie about capitalism?
Oh, yes. I mean, at the very least, it's about it's a lot of Miyazaki's movies are about environmentalism.
Okay.
And we can definitely see that in, like, The Stink Spirit.
Yeah.
Who is just filled with human trash. Mm-hmm. Also, we forgot to mention, Chihiro mentions that when she is explaining to Kohaku who he is, she says that the river that used to be him is now full of houses. Mm-hmm. They filled it in.
Right.
And Kohaku says, oh, that must be why I couldn't get home. Mm-hmm. Which is, another environmental thing.
Right.
And yeah, her parents just, like, finding food and not asking permission and just taking it all is a very, there's some resonance there.
Yes.
With
and also
anti-capitalist things.
Right. And also, like, throughout the movie, there's also, like, Yubaba punishes Chihiro for the actions of her parents.
Right.
There's all the shit about the gold.
Yeah.
Like, the No Face seems to latch on. No Face seems to just be able to create things
Yeah.
And he latches onto the gold.
Again, we forgot to mention something else. All the gold turns to mud.
Oh, that's right. It's even possible he didn't steal all those tokens. He just made them out of mud.
It's possible, but they work, so I'm not sure.
Right, I guess. But, I mean, they would just... What would they do otherwise?
I guess.
Like, they're just tokens.
Yeah.
It's not like that, because, like, the way the system works is Kamaji sees the token, and then routes the water wherever.
Yeah.
It's not like the tokens are magic.
Right. Yeah, so maybe he just made them.
And just tries to give everybody gold, especially Chihiro.
It's unclear if he wants to eat Chihiro.
I don't think he does. I think No-Face is obsessed with Chihiro.
Right.
I think he wants her to notice him and like him, and so he keeps doing favors for her.
Right.
And when she rejects those favors, he gets upset and eats people to cope. Which, mood.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like there's a lot to talk about with No-Face, I feel like, because he's such a weird character.
He's so weird.
Because he doesn't get explained.
No.
The movie doesn't like to explain No-Face.
The movie isn't interested in explaining much.
Yes.
Which is, valid, I think.
But, like, No-Face is not evil? I think...
No.
No-Face... I think there is... I think you're right. I think there's an overall theme of maturity.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's literally a giant baby who's a character.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like maybe No-Face is an aspect of that immaturity.
Yeah.
Of, like, he's self-centered.
Yeah.
And he just wants Chihiro to be his friend.
Right.
Probably to reward her for letting him in.
Yeah. Although he does see her on the bridge before that. And
yes.
I wonder if that is the start of
that's also possible.
His feelings are.
Uh-huh. And he also I feel like he just eats people either out of anger or since he only talks after he has eaten the frog and doesn't talk after vomiting him up.
Right.
I feel like maybe that was a practical decision for him. Like, he just wanted a voice.
Yeah, maybe. It's also interesting that he only eats people who take the gold from him.
Yes.
He doesn't eat everyone who takes the gold from him, but
right.
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
That feels like something for capitalism. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's saying. It also could just be a thing about friendship, though.
Yeah.
Like, and gifts and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fucking hard movie.
It definitely is.
And
this movie was marketed. I think it was marketed at kids. I mean, at the very least, the English dub definitely was because it was done by Disney.
Right. I do feel like a lot of kids would dig this.
Yeah, sure.
I was confused by it and you were confused by it, but,
Yeah.
Also, you can be confused by shit that you like also.
Yeah.
I was confused by Harry Potter, probably. I always thought Fluffy was a bobblehead, in universe. I thought he was a giant... The dog, the three-headed dog. I thought he was a giant bobblehead.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. But yeah. Chihiro's parents make that kid put a seatbelt on if that car has one.
Seatbelt on.
Also,
maybe give a shit that your kid is depressed about leaving their friends behind.
Yeah. It is interesting to me. We never see Rumi.
We do never see Rumi.
Who is Chihiro's best friend from her old town.
Yeah.
But I also think it's really interesting that Chihiro remembers who she is because of something from Rumi.
Right.
So I feel I feel like friendship is a huge theme in this.
Yeah. Definitely.
She remembers who she is because of the actions of her friends. And that's also true of Haku.
Yeah. She is saved by befriending the baby.
Yes.
Essentially.
Who also, like No-Face, wanted her to be his friend, but did it in a shitty way.
Yeah,
Huh.
Yeah.
We're not smart enough. I'm upset. I'm mad.
I think
I'm mad that we can't say things that are insightful about this, and we're just analyzing the, here's the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
What do they mean?
It's interesting that part of the conflict early on is Chihiro almost forgetting who she is. And if you take that in line with, like, it's about maturity, it's about growing up.
Right.
It's like, it's very easy when you're growing up to forget who you are and become a different person. Lots of adults forget that they liked things when they were kids.
Right.
Lots of adults. I mean, I don't think Miyazaki was talking about our irony poisoned culture of 2019, but it's, maybe a little relevant still. Lots of adults decide that things are too cringe for them.
Yeah. I think it's all, like, it's probably worth noting then, like, the opposite of that also applies here, I think, which is Chihiro doesn't care about things that adults are supposed, or at least the spirits around her, who are kind of a stand-in for adults.
Right.
Are supposed to care about. So, like, she doesn't give a shit about the gold. Because why would she? She's too concerned about her friends and her family. Right.
And it's, like, that is, like, kids are maybe more honest than adults. Right. Because they don't care about gold. Like, I don't need more bath tokens. I already used the one that I needed. But again, like, kind of commenting on greed. Like, why would I take more? I already have exactly what I need.
And also, like that ties into even the start of this with her parents turning into literal pigs for eating too much. Also, we didn't mention Yubaba at one point threatens to turn Chihiro into coal.
Right.
Which is fucked up.
That is fucked up.
Also, they eat the pigs. They do eat the pigs, so if any of those are humans...
Yubaba does, like, she says that she's going to turn Chihiro's parents into bacon. Yeah.
So that's fucked.
That's a little fucked.
That's not really relevant to the themes or anything, I just...
Also, this isn't important, but Chihiro does wear a striped shirt, so we know she's a kid.
Yeah.
I just thought we should bring that up.
Love a striped shirt, kid.
I don't know if I have anything more insightful to say.
Yeah, like, it's
I really like the movie.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
It's a very good movie.
Controversial opinion.
Yeah, Spirited Away is good. It's so weird. There are some things that I wanted to complain about.
Okay.
Zeniba is so weird.
Zeniba's weird.
I don't know why she's like what she is.
Yeah.
Like, why is she's evil? Like, straight up tries to kill Haku.
Yeah.
And then she's fine? I think, okay, here's the thing. This is a fairy tale.
Right.
This is very much a fairy tale. And in fairy tales, weird shit just happens.
Yeah, weird shit just happens.
Things are just kind of arbitrary and strange, and, like, you just go with the flow. And I feel like a lot of things can be sort of chalked up to that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, like, Zeniba, as soon as she doesn't feel like she needs to be the antagonist, isn't now.
Right.
Like, that sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense that, they're spirits. They don't adhere to human morality. Also, though, something that really bugs me. Lynn mentions that she, wants to get out of here.
She wants to get out of the bathhouse, yeah.
And she wants a train ticket to do that.
Yeah.
And then later, Kamaji is like, hey, I got, like, 4 train tickets.
Well, I think he
might even have 5.
I think he had 5, which is, like, Chihiro, the bird, the mouse,
no face.
Lynn. Why doesn't Lynn go with her and just get off at a different stop?
It's so weird.
It feels like a lot of the bathhouse workers are also kind of trapped there.
Yeah.
But it's weird that Lynn would not use the opportunity to get out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah. But hopefully Kohaku can start a union. And
I was gonna say, the bathhouse needs a union.
Yeah. That's the other thing about, like, capitalism, is, like, it's just all... Yubaba is the epitome of exploitative labor practices. Mm-hmm. Just fucking hazing the new girl, making her clean the big tub, stealing people's names.
Yeah.
So again, there's lots of stuff you could read into this, but we're too dumb to do that. Here's some words, you give them meaning. No meaning, only radish spirit.
He's good.
He's good.
I love him.
He's a good guy. He has nipples, I noticed.
Yeah, that's upsetting, actually. I hate him. I hate him now.
Why would he... Is he a mammal? Are radish spirits mammals? Spirits are weird.
Spirits are weird.
When the heads eat, where does it go?
Well, yeah, because they had a baby body, and they were eating.
Maybe that's why they were gorging themselves in the baby body. They were like, we have a stomach now.
Maybe.
We also, can we talk about No Face some more, just a little bit?
Okay.
I fucking love him.
He's great.
Again, controversial opinion. No Face is cool. There are scenes with No Face. I think especially when we see him in the dark.
Yeah.
Before he's, like, transformed. He's got fucking organs and shit. We see through his translucent body.
Yeah. We also didn't talk about, like, when he is in, like, big form. He makes sloshing sounds when he moves.
Yes. And he's, like, leaves liquid behind him. He is goopy. He's a real goopy boy. And he's just wonderfully animated. He's horrifying, but... I love that he's horrifying, but is also this cute, like, immature friend.
Yeah.
Who just kind of wants to hang.
Yeah.
And he's so good at sewing.
He's very good at sewing, despite barely having hands.
Yeah, he's just got tiny little hands. I love his tiny hands, also.
He's great.
He's great. The frogmen are great.
I do love the frogmen. They all kind of suck, but they're
dicks,
good.
But they have good designs.
Frog ladies are cute, also, even though they're just fucking small, round ladies.
They look distinctly inhuman next to the human characters.
Fair. Lynn doesn't, though.
Lynn does not. That's why I'm not sure she's a frog.
I mean, she's not a human, definitely.
She's probably not a human. How do we know that, though?
Because she talks about Chihiro being a human in a way that is like, you wouldn't say that if you were a human.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like if you haven't lived with humans for a long ass time.
I guess. I don't know.
It's possible she just got captured a long time ago.
Yeah, maybe. I think she's a frog, though.
Sure. I kind of like it if she's a frog, just because of how human she looks.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's another human person here. But no. Kamaji's great, also.
Yeah.
Like, all the characters... Like, I really do like how all the characters are, like, mostly okay.
Yeah.
Like, maybe with the exception of Yubaba and even Zeniba.
Yeah.
Like, Zeniba's done some fishy shit.
Uh-huh.
And Yubaba's primarily an asshole.
Uh-huh.
But also has some, like, sympathetic moments.
Yeah.
Genuinely loves her baby. And also, for some reason, made a deal in the past to always accept workers if they ask for work.
It's also, like, she doesn't hide when the stink spirit comes. She is like running around getting people in place to deal with it. She does make Chihiro fucking do all the work herself, but you know, she's not like the CEO who stays in her office all the time and doesn't do anything.
Yeah. She's not a CEO, she's a supervisor.
Yeah.
She's the manager. She's just also an asshole. But she does care about the customer.
Yeah.
Even if it's
maybe not her employees as much.
Not her employees as much.
Which is bad.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about this enough, I feel like. It's a fucking beautiful movie.
It really looks great.
There's not much we can...
Controversial opinion.
Yeah.
Ghibli movies look really good. I love the way when Chihiro is surprised or upset, her hair just frazzles. It's really good.
She's like a cat.
The way Kamaji moves with his arms is really cool.
I wanted to ask, because you hate spiders.
He's fine.
He's fine? Kamaji's fine?
He is, his human head, and the fact that his arms are also human-like, they're not spider legs.
Yeah.
Do a lot to mitigate everything.
If they were, like, more spider leg-like.
Mm-hmm. Also the fact that he's Dr. Eggman.
Yes. You can't be scared of that face.
No.
Also, No Face.
No Face is creepy.
Okay. In his more spidery forms.
The river spirit is creepy.
Yeah, I do really like the sort of foreshadowing with the river spirit, like, because he has a dragon body.
Yeah.
He doesn't really look that much like Kohaku.
No, his body is just kind of water.
Yeah. I think he's got legs, but we only see them very briefly.
Right.
Because he moves so fast. And also his head is a weird, decrepit old man skull. That seems like it might be made of, like, driftwood.
I don't know. It just kind of looks like his skin has dried out.
Also true, yeah, also possible. And meanwhile, Kohaku is a dog.
Right.
He's Falcor. But I do like river spirits just have long, sinewy bodies, like Kohaku does.
Yeah.
It's good, like, subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah.
I will say, I also, I don't really like the test at the end.
I kind of like it. I think it shows... Because it shows some of Chihiro's growth. Because when she goes to the pig pen, she doesn't know which of them are her parents. But when she comes back at the end, she's like, I know none of these are my parents.
Right. I just don't know what that growth says. Like, where did she get that growth, considering she hasn't even been back to the pig pen since then?
Yeah.
And... like, what does that growth say about her or any of the things she's been through?
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't feel like it feels like it would be a satisfying moment if it were more set up, I guess.
Maybe. But
also... sorry, go ahead.
What were you? You go ahead.
Oh, but as it stands, it feels like this movie has a lot of different conflicts going on surrounding Chihiro. That that makes it kind of hard to have, like, a specific climax, right? Like, there's no...
Right. There isn't really a climax.
Yeah, there's no, like, final sort of piece of the puzzle you can put in, because there's just a lot of puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
It's a big puzzle. It's, like, holographic also, so it's just hard to, like... It's got no corners.
It doesn't.
I don't know if a puzzle cannot have corners. What were you gonna fucking say?
Oh,
to interrupt me from talking like a dumbass.
The dub is really good.
Yes, I agree completely.
It's.
I love Davy Chase.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Davy?
I
always assumed it was Davy until you said, what was it, Davy?
Davy. I don't know.
That's also possible.
I mean, it's Disney, so of course it would be good.
Yeah.
I don't really like a lot of the later Disney Ghibli dubs.
Really?
Because, like, they just get whoever's in their fucking current Disney Channel original
right.
fun kid show. Which, you know, they also did that for this, but I
wonder, was Davy Chase in...
This was before Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, wait, before the movie.
This was before
I was going to say, was she in the show? But this was before Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Huh. She plays Lilo in everything except the anime.
Okay. Well, because in the anime, isn't she an adult?
Oh, right. It's a different girl in the anime. Right. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
She might actually play her in the anime then. I don't know. Susan Egan as Lynn is very good, even though Lynn doesn't really get... She gets a lot to do, but she doesn't have a, like, what feels like a complete arc.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's an... I'm just going off of this and Kiki's.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there's an archetype of character that Lynn is that is also like the artist lady in Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah. I feel like there's just like sort of mentor figure ladies. Yeah. Like in their like 20s to 30s for the child main character.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's...
And they're cool, also.
And they're also cool. Lynn is very cool.
They're cool ladies.
Yeah, Haku is... He's good.
Yeah.
He doesn't...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want a dead name.
Right, true. Sorry. It's a good dub.
Yeah.
I don't think I have much more to say than that.
Yeah. It's real pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And I like all the weird monsters. That's the other thing is, like, there's so many weird monsters in this.
Yeah.
That we can't even, like, in an audio medium,
right.
we can't really give Spirited Away its due.
Yeah.
Also, fantastic pun in the title of the film.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you not?
No, I.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do like. We didn't mention this, but when No Face is handing out gold to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, there's a frog man who sort of announces his presence in a hallway full of people awaiting their gold sprinkling.
Right.
Who has a little song about No Face.
Oh, does
that
he?
I don't remember exactly. I don't remember the entirety of it, but a part of it does go. The song is like talking about him eating everything.
Mm-hmm.
And his butt keeps getting bigger, but that just means there's more to kiss.
I don't remember this at all.
Really?
Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know how I missed it or forgot about it.
That's just a very funny line.
I think I actually read that entire song is improvised.
Really?
Yeah. Also, what an esophagus is also an improvised line.
They just that frog voice actor.
Yeah, who I didn't really write him down.
Right.
Because he's not. I mean, he's fine.
Yeah. But yeah.
Anyway,
this movie's good. I feel like
good.
that's the thing about it is, like, we can't do it justice. Mm-hmm. And I feel like more people should watch this underrated gem.
Yeah,
this hidden gem.
The movie that was called the best movie of the 21st century at some point. That's a thing that happened.
Really?
Yeah. It was also one of the first movies to win an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah. And, like, I think the last anime movie to win an Oscar, which is a shame.
That's a shame. But I'm upset. I'm upset now.
What?
I have never seen Spirited Away on one of those lists of, like, top movies of all time.
Really?
And I'm pissed. Because I've seen a lot of those because I took a film class.
Right.
That involves looking at a lot of those sometimes. And what the fuck?
It's a really good movie.
You're gonna fucking put Casablanca in the top 2? It's always either Casablanca or Citizen Kane. And you're not gonna... This is good!
Spirited Away is the Citizen Kane of anime.
Yeah. Spirited Away is way better than fucking Some Like It Hot.
It's definitely better than Some Like It Hot.
People put Some Like It Hot on the top all the time. Not at the very top.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If you put 2 movies in front of me, Citizen Kane, Spirited Away, I'll pick Spirited Away every time.
Right,
I don't care about Citizen Kane.
Have you seen
It's
Citizen
fine.
Kane?
I've seen it.
It's Casablanca you haven't seen, right? Or you have seen that one?
I don't fucking know. They're all the same. They're all the fucking same movie, man. I don't give a shit.
Casablanca and Citizen Kane are the same.
They're the same movie. Black and white. There's some shitty dude I don't give a shit about who everyone thinks is a great actor, but he just looks like a potato. I don't care.
Welcome to Late to School, our Humphrey Bogart dunk cast.
Fuck Humphrey Bogart. He sure is a Bogart. Anyway.
Fucking owning Orville. No. No. Or what's his fucking name?
H.G. Wells?
No, the Citizen Kane guy.
Orson Scott Card?
No, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
We had to thread the needle there.
There it is.
Orson Scott Card is the Ender's Game guy.
Oh, right, the homophobe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orson Welles.
Right.
We had to... Orson Welles is the exact midpoint between Orson Scott Card and H.G. Wells.
Yeah,
I always get confused because he did the fucking radio thing of War of the Worlds, which is a novel by H.G. Wells.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Orson Welles did that.
Okay.
The famous one that, like, not very many people were actually fooled by, but a few people.
Right.
What the fuck were we... Spirited Away is a good movie. We're gonna watch more anime movies in the future, probably, between, like, major seasons.
Yeah, we'll watch more anime movies, definitely.
I would love to watch Kiki's again.
We would probably watch that.
But the problem with that is I feel like I'd rather watch movies I haven't seen.
That's fair.
Because, like, I've never seen Totoro.
Right, and that's the premise of this podcast.
Yeah.
You're also late to school.
Yeah. And you've also seen Kiki's, right?
I've seen Kiki's Deliveries.
So neither of us would be the...
Here's the thing, though, is it's been...
We had both seen this also.
But... It's been 15 years since I've seen this movie or Kiki's or any Ghibli movie, really.
Okay.
I watched, like, Ponyo. Which
came out relatively recently,
right? I mean, it was like 2006 or something.
Right. God.
And that's one of the dubs I don't care as much for, but yeah.
Ponyo?
Yeah. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it either, actually. I need to watch Ponyo.
I think I watched part of The Secret World of Arrietty, which has the fucking dude from Wizards of Waverly Place, who is not a voice actor, and you can tell.
Cool.
Anyway.
I
think that's gonna be it for us.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. As always, you can find me at Lorena27 on Twitter.
And you can find me at Frylord Zarek on Twitter.
I don't know what music we're gonna use for this.
Oh, do you think we're not gonna...
Thanks to Kevin MacLeod for use of his song Semi-Funk. It's fine. We'll use that one. Just because I don't want to have to record a fucking ADR. That's not what this is. I don't want to do a pickup recording for a different song.
Mm-hmm. We'll use that one here and maybe when we start our next season.
When we start our next season, we'll probably do a different song.
Yeah. Also probably by Kevin MacLeod because we have no money and he's good.
Right. Also, you can find the show at late_school.
That's frog work.
Good. Great. What's our outro? It can't be the
Moonlight is a messenger of love. Shit.
This is good stinger material.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay. Let's bounce ideas.
There's no phrases that are settled on this film, are there?
No, I don't think there's. So No Face does.
No.